Josephine County Republican. It is January the 20th, 2026. So I just wanted to get into this, and I wanted to recommend something first. If you haven't already, go to the comments on the first video. That video was posted on the JCRCC Facebook group. I know that I shared it at other groups, but go back and read those claims, read those arguments, explanations. But I'm about to walk you through, if all of that stuff, those claims, it was actually a pretty good conversation. Richard Flora, not to make this weird or anything like that, but I have really enjoyed debating you, especially because Richard is actually quite cordial. He's polite. He doesn't make insults. A lot of these folks, they do that. And, I can't, I just kind of ended at that point. But Richard, shout out to you for that. So I just want to slow this down and walk people through this real carefully because there's been a lot of noise around this issue. This episode is not about attacking Ron Smith or calling him a liar or assigning motives. It's about walking through the timeline using the public record, the meeting minutes, local newspaper reporting, and a radio interview Ron gave, and the comments that followed with my last video. So if you need to pause the video, go check that out. Please do. And then, decide for yourself. Let's start with what is not disputed. December 4th, the Josephine County Board of Commissioners held a meeting. There was an agenda item related to moving forward with the process to fill a vacancy on the board. A motion was made to direct staff to proceed with advertising the position and setting timelines. Now, that was a Thursday, I believe, December 4th. That motion passed 3-0. Ron Smith voted yes, Chris Barnett voted yes, and Andreas Bleck voted yes. There was no objection recorded in the minutes, no concern raised about the process, no statement that the process was improper, no claim that anyone was being excluded, no mention of backroom deals. That is not my opinion. This is what the minutes actually show. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys right now.
Next item on the agenda is the appointment of the new commissioner or commissioners. This is to move forward with the process and the procedure as is outlined in state statute and in our charter. And I would entertain a motion to allow staff to move forward with the process as directed.
I'll make a motion to give staff direction to move forward with the process of filling any vacancy on the Board of County Commissioners.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion?
No, not really.
Nope.
Okay, I would just like to outline that this direction is to allow staff to continue advertising for this position, to require the applications to be due at 9 a.m. and the interviews at 1 p.m. on Monday. Is that how I understand?
Yes.
Okay, so with a friendly amendment stating that to your
Yes.
motion.
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you. So any other comments?
No, I think we have.
Comment?
Wait, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Burnett,
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Black.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, you guys can see it for yourself. And this is where the timeline becomes important. So between December 4th and December 12th, I went back through the minutes and agendas. There is no on-the-record discussion where Ron objects to the process, period, the end. There's no motion that challenged it. There's no point of order. There is no request for a different timeline. There's no statement that he was left out of the loop or not informed. Nothing. If these concerns existed at the time, they do not appear to be an official record. So on December 12th, Ron officially recuses himself from the appointment process, as you all know. The minutes reflect the recusal. What they do not contain is an explanation stating that the process was improper, that there were backroom deals, or that he had been excluded from the decision-making. Those explanations are not in the minutes. Now, here's the part that generated the most discussion in the comments, and it's important to address it directly. After December 12th, meetings were scheduled whose sole purpose was to carry out the charter duty to fill the vacancy. And this was not disputed either. Ron just didn't attend those meetings. In total, Ron missed 9 properly noticed meetings related to filling the vacancy. 9. people in the comments keep saying, well, he only recused himself on one issue, or he still attended other meetings. That's true, but that's not the point. The point is that these meetings were scheduled for a specific mandatory charter function. The charter does not say the board shall fill a vacancy if he doesn't feel like it. It says the board shall fill the vacancy. And here's why I brought this up in comparison in my last video, because people keep misunderstanding it. In another state, there was 2 commissioners that were arrested and charged after they intentionally skipped 7 meetings to block the appointment of a replacement commissioner. They were charged because of they weren't charged because of their politics. They weren't charged because of who they supported. They were charged because they deliberately refused to attend the meetings in order to stop a required government action. It was clear then, and I'll be clear now. Oregon law is not West Virginia law. The statutes are different. The penalties may be different. That's not the point. The point is that in another jurisdiction, intentionally skipping meetings to prevent a governing body from carrying out a mandatory duty has been treated as a serious failure of office. Here in Josephine County, Ron skipped 9 meetings related to the same required action. The exact same thing. I mean, it was just, they didn't want to go because they didn't want to, appoint a new commissioner. It's the exact same thing. Now, Ron could have voted no. Yes. Could Ron have voted someone else? Yes. Could Ron have gone for, on the record and objected to the process? Yes, he could have. Could Ron have proposed a different timeline? Yes. Instead, he chose not to participate. That's not a personal attack. That's just describing what happened. Now, where do the explanations show up? They do not show up in the minutes. They do not show up later outside of meetings. The Daily Courier reports Ron saying that he felt bullied, pressured, and pushed towards what he described as backroom deals. The Courier reports him as, criticizing the short application window, questioning the legitimacy of the process. That reporting appears in mid-December and after the December 4th vote. Then on December 17th, Ron goes on the Bill Meyer show on KMED. Full credit to Bill Meyer. You can find his work at www.billmeyer.com. In that interview, Ron lays out his reasoning in his own words. He talks about the 48-hour window application, the application window. He says that he was not consulted. He said that he felt pressured and threatened. He said that no matter who he voted for, it would be viewed as a backroom deal. He says the process was fatally flawed. That interview is the clearest explanation of his position that I could find. And here's the distinction I keep trying to make, especially in response to the comments and the people on Facebook. Those explanations exist. They're Ron's words, but they appear after the December 4th vote, not before it. They appear after he stopped attending meetings, not during the meetings where the process was authorized on December 4th. They did not appear in the record when the board made the decision. And that actually does matter because government runs on the record. Objections to process only exist if they are raised on the record at the time decisions are made. Later explanations, no matter how sincerely held, do not change what the minutes show. This episode is not whether Ron had the legal right to recuse himself. That was covered in the last episode. This is not about whether the application window was a good idea or not. It's about whether lobbying is politics or pressure. Anyway, it's about sequence and conduct. December 4th, a yes vote with no objection. Between the 4th and the 12th, no recorded challenge. December 12th, he recused himself. After that, 9 missed meetings tied to a mandatory charter duty. Then later, public explanations and interviews, newspapers and comments, and that's the timeline. If somebody has evidence that changes that timeline, I genuinely want to see it. If there was a meeting I missed, if there was a statement on the record, if there was a post or interview before December 4th where Ron clearly lays out all this out, That would change my perspective. Until then, I'm going to stick with what the minutes say, what the newspapers reported, and what Ron said on the radio. And that's what people are claiming after the fact. So that's not an attack. That's just walking through what actually happened. Josephine County Republican signing out.